Okay, so on 4.2, greatest common factor. The greatest common factor, okay, a common factor is a whole number that is a factor of 2 or more non-zero whole numbers. Meaning, 6 and 4. They have a common factor. They have a couple common factors. What goes into 6 and what goes into 4?
2.
Yeah, I mean, list all the factors of 6 for me.
2 and 3. 2 and 3 and 1 and 6.
Yeah, so 6 is 1 and 6, 2 and 3. What are the factors of 4?
1 and 4, 2 and 2.
So they have a couple common factors, 1 and 2, yes?
Yep.
Those are the common factors. The greatest common factor, okay, is the largest number that goes into both of them. So what would be the greatest common factor of those?
2.
2. Okay, so we're going to do a lot of comparisons between common factors today and greatest common factors. Okay, if you see greatest common factor written as the GCF, that's what it's asking for, the greatest common factor. Okay, also known as your GCF.
Greatest? I'm not saying that.
Okay, give you a sec. Thank you.
Greatest?
I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready.
I know, I'm giving you time, I'm giving you time.
Oh, I see. Is that non-zero?
Yes, this is a non-zero. Common factor is a whole number that is a factor of 2 or more non-zero whole numbers. And the greatest common factor is the greatest of the common factors, the GCF. Okay, we're gonna be looking for some GCFs in here.
I'm still writing.
What,
Oh, sorry, I was thinking the GFS.
I got food, delicious.
I love
What's the GFS?
It's a food store. Okay, so
always love everything.
we are going to do some word problems. We're going to do some problems with just numbers, and then we're going to do greatest common factor with numbers and variables together with monomials. I know you're
No meals, no meals.
monomials. Okay.
Nope, you have
A choir director wants to divide a choir into small groups. Okay, because you all sing in the choir, I can tell. A choir director wants to divide a choir into small groups. The choir has 24 sopranos, 60 altos, and 36 tenors. Each group will have the same number of each type of voice. What is the greatest number of groups that can be formed? And how many sopranos, altos, and tenors will be in each group? What do I need to do? Sonia.
Can you find the GCF of each number?
We need to find all the factors of each number so that we can find the GCF. What are the numbers I'm working with?
24, 36.
And what else?
60.
60.
That's
Okay,
for the
yeah, I can see
altos.
Let's start with 24. Factors of 24. 1
1,
and 24.
2 and 12.
Okay, what else?
3 and 8.
What else?
4 and 6.
Anything else?
Bro.
Bro.
What are
No.
factors of 36 now?
1 and 36.
Okay, what else?
2 and
2
2
Yeah.
and
18.
18. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't know.
What else?
I don't really know.
What else?
3 and 3 and 12. No.
Yeah, 3 and 12.
3 and 12.
What else?
Come on.
Hey, focus. What
6
else?
and 6.
What?
6 and 6.
Can 4 go into 36?
Yes. 4 and 9.
4 and 9.
Yeah, 4 and 9.
Okay, and then 6 and 6. Anything else?
What?
Guys,
Have a
boys,
problem?
12 times 3.
do I need to separate you?
No.
Then focus. 1 and 60. What else?
2 times 30.
2 and 30.
Okay, 3 and
3 and 20.
that's 4.
And yeah, there's 4. Wait.
Yes, there is. 4 and 15.
Good. 4 and 15.
Use your calculator.
Sonia, no
Please
calculator.
use your
Okay.
calculator.
What else?
I calculated upside down on my phone.
What else?
5
5 and 12. What else?
6 and the 60 times 1.
6 and 10. The
10.
7 or 8 or 9 go into it.
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what is my GCF?
6. 6 and 6.
Well,
4 and 15.
No.
No, 6.
6 is here, 6 is here, 6 is here.
Oh.
Okay. What else is there? There's another one. that's
4.
bigger.
12.
2 and 2 and 2.
What, Sonia?
12.
12.
Jeez, snipe that.
12. 12.
Oh, it's seriously.
Okay? So here's the deal. On your homework, I need to see list. And I need to see you circle which one's the greatest common factor. And I need you not to use your calculator.
Don't look at me. You've been doing
Yeah, look at her.
Okay, so my greatest common factor is 12, which means how many groups are gonna be formed?
3 groups of
3 of 12. Wait, what?
My greatest common factor is 12.
Whoa, so
Those
big
are
groups.
not-
Right?
Stop.
Hey guys, I need you to listen to my question and I need you to focus.
Sorry.
Stop turning and talking.
I'm sorry.
Okay? Greatest common factor is 12, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what is going to be the number of groups that can be formed?
12.
12. 12 groups are going to be formed. So so the first question is how many groups can be formed? 12.
12.
Now let's know how many sopranos.
What?
How many sopranos are in that group of 12?
2.
Good,
24.
2, because 2 and 12. How many altos are in that group?
3. You ain't even let
Uh-uh.
us finish.
It's not
Oh, 5. 5.
5.
5.
Oh, 5.
And how many tenors?
3.
3.
I'm
So you're going to have 12 groups, and each group is going to have 2 sopranos, 5 altos, and 3 tenors. Okay? That was a 2-part question. I need you guys to listen, focus, and pay attention to the 2-part question. It's just like when we miss stuff on our quiz or test because we don't answer all parts.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I know I did something wrong today.
Relatively prime. Okay, there is something called relatively prime, and it's when the greatest common factor is 1. Okay? If your greatest common factor is the number 1, those are called relatively prime numbers. What is a real prime number?
A real?
What is just a prime number? We talked about it yesterday.
Like 2. Or 3.
Okay, what does that mean?
37.
It means that it
13.
can only be 1 in itself.
It can only be 1 in itself.
Multiplied by 1 in
So
itself.
this is called relatively prime because, well, this is called relatively prime because the 2 numbers might have more factors that go into them besides just 1 in itself, but 1 might be the only number that is the common factor. It's the greatest common factor, okay? So relatively prime is when the greatest common factor is 1. So we want to find the greatest common factor and state if it is relatively prime. Okay, 24 and 45. Break 24 down for me.
1 and 24.
2
2
and,
and
12.
what else? Keep going.
3 and 8.
Anything
4
else?
and 6.
Anything else? We already did that. See, boom, I covered it up. What about 45? What breaks down 45?
I don't know that. 1 and 45.
1 and
Okay, what
45.
else?
5 and 9.
Anything else go into 45?
No.
So what is the GCF of those numbers?
1.
1. And is that relatively prime?
Z.
GCF equals 1. You can put it on your homework like this. And yes, it is relatively prime. Oh. Okay, so you're going to have to answer homework questions like that tonight. Okay, 35. Give me factors of 35.
5 and 2.
1 and 35.
1 and 35,
5
5
and
and 7. What else? Anything else?
That's all.
No.
Okay, 54. Give me numbers.
9 and
1 and
6.
54.
1 and 54. What'd you say?
9 and 6.
9 and 6. I'm going to go 6 and 9.
It's relatively prime.
Anything else?
No.
54 definitely has something else.
Oh yeah, divided by 2.
What do you get when you put 2 into it? I can't talk.
You get
Well,
30.
I kinda
You get
like
30
this
something. I
just
just get
takes
30
it too
something.
far.
Mm-hmm.
20 something.
It is 20 something.
21.
22. Wait.
Stop guessing.
Wait.
Stop guessing.
25.
Stop guessing.
Just said it. 27.
Yes, 27, because you do 54 divided by 2. And Bree, we know it's not 25, because what's 2 times 25? They're 2 quarters. So you would get this, right? And you bring that down to
Yes.
like 17. Okay, what is the, does 3 go into 54 at all?
It doesn't.
No. Okay.
Wait.
3 go with the
Actually it does.
It's 8. No.
What? 3 goes into 5 how many times?
1.
1. And then you subtract 3 from
It's
it, right?
38, I think.
And you get 24.
Yeah.
How many times does 3 go into 24?
Your face just goes so straight. Like,
It's 8.
So you do 3 and 18. You guys have to spend time doing this tonight. Do not just like stop short, or you're gonna get wrong answers. Okay, what is the greatest common factor?
The great.
Yeah, it's still
Yeah,
1.
it's still 1. So the GCF is 1. Is it relatively prime?
Yes.
Okay? Okay, now let's talk about finding greatest common factor when there are variables involved. Okay, when there are variables involved, when it is a monomial, you need to break down the numbers and you need to break down the letters like we did last night. Okay, so what does 18, what are all the prime numbers of 18?
1 and
3, 6.
18.
Actually, what,
1 and
yeah,
18.
we
2
need to
and
break down
9.
18. 18 is 1 and
1 and
18,
18.
what?
2 and 9.
Anything else?
3, 6.
3 and 6. Okay, I have one x, correct?
Yes.
And how many y's do I have?
2.
1, 2, yes?
Yeah.
28, what does 28 break down into?
1 and 28.
1 and 28,
2 and 14.
2 and 14,
3. Wait. No. 4. 4 and 7.
4 and 7.
Don't call them remote, Zadie.
Anything else? 28 break down into anything else? Guys, stop talking to each other.
Sorry.
I am going to move you. That is your last warning. Focus. Okay, 1 and 28, 2 and 14, 4 and 7. X squared breaks down into what?
X times X.
And y squared is?
Y times Y.
Okay, so greatest common factor. What is the greatest common factor out of the numbers?
2.
2.
Yeah, 2.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring a 2 down. What is the greatest common factor out of the x's?
What do you mean?
One.
Okay, how many x's are here?
1.
How many are here?
2.
So what could possibly be the greatest common factor? What's
1x.
1x? So I'm gonna
So
have
this
2x. Okay?
Oh,
What's the greatest common
2y.
factor out of the y's?
Or y squared. Y squared.
Okay, because there's two y's on both sides, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, you would say y squared. So my greatest common factor of this monomial is broken down as 2 times x times y squared. Okay, do you see why I list everything out now?
Uh-huh.
That way you can visually see what's going on. Caitlin, wake up. Okay, so list it out so that you can see it. And then you take the biggest stuff from both sides, like, okay, you're gonna just take what your biggest possibilities are. Greatest common factor. You need the biggest common factor from the numbers, the most common factor between the x's, and the common factor between the y's. Now down here, what are the factors of 7?
1 and 7.
1 and 7. What are the factors of x?
X.
And what are the factors of y cubed?
Y times Y times Y.
Okay, what are the factors of 28?
1 and 28. 2 and 14. 3 or 4 and 7. Sorry.
Okay, and what are the factors of x?
X.
And y squared?
Y times y.
Okay, so greatest common factor number-wise between these two?
1.
No,
Wait, oh, 7. Sorry. I'm
7.
Sorry.
okay. Greatest common factor between x's?
I can't see.
1. No,
Yeah,
2.
1x.
Just
Yeah,
x.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
just x. And greatest common factor between
Y
y's?
squared.
Y squared. So my greatest common factor is 7xy squared. 7xy squared. Okay? 7xy squared. Now, let's do something else. Let me say this. Okay. Yeah, that's all I want. Okay, that is what we are doing tonight for our homework. Okay, so let's try some.